Hello, everyone. So that's Newcastle United 2, Tottenham Hotspur 3. That is the first game under the new owners from the Saudi PIF. And it was all a bit flat, really, wasn't it? Not very. It was just disappointing. Disappointing. So we started off really well as well, which was the most frustrating thing. The atmosphere and the game kicking off the way it did was great, and getting a goal after 2 minutes, fantastic. But obviously, wasn't to be. It wasn't to be. We knew that it would be a tough game today. Obviously, I'm sure most of you will have been watching the game anyway, but obviously I'm a bit late on for obvious reasons, and I'd just like to say I hope that whoever the fan was in the East Stand who was being treated, and obviously the game was postponed or held up for about half an hour, wasn't it? I hope that the person who we believe is in hospital and was stabilised, I hope they make a full recovery. And that's not something we want to see at a football ground, is it? We don't want to see that. So I hope that person gets better. But let's talk about the game. Let's talk about the atmosphere. Let's talk about everything. So, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, I mean, the main talking point is Steve Bruce, isn't it? We didn't want the day to be all about him, but ultimately we were left at the end with nothing other than the realization that Steve Bruce needs to go. He absolutely needs to go. The man is... It's just appalling. Like I said, we started off, the first 10 minutes were great. The first 2 minutes were incredible. Like, the atmosphere was just incredible inside St. James's. It came across on the telly really well. I think it would have been obviously even better being there. And I wanted to be there, but couldn't be there. Obviously, some of you know I was meant to be there today, but COVID had other ideas. But yeah, it's just so disappointing. To start off that well, I felt like, oh, this is amazing. Like, these players are up for this and all that kind of stuff. And ultimately, I think the players put so much effort into those first 10 minutes. And then Spurs kind of found their feet in the game and never looked back, really. And actually, the score flatters us, doesn't it? Let's be honest. 3-2 to Spurs absolutely flatters us. Because they could have been easily out of sight. They hit the bar. They had a few other chances that were close. They could have won 4-5-1 easily. But, we take 3-2. And even our second goal was... it's a good cross by Murphy, to be fair. But really, it was just a complete fluke or freak of a own goal, wasn't it? And there's just so many issues with the team. And the thing is, like, we'll talk about Bruce, obviously, quite a lot. We all want to see him go. I mean, if he's not handed his not his resignation, his P45 at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, then something's going wrong. I mean, obviously, some of the new owners were present today. Staveley was there with her husband, and some of the other, presumably board directors and all that kind of stuff were there too. They will have seen just how serious a mess we're in. Like, that game encapsulated what we've been seeing for the last 18 months. Pretty much every performance for the last 18 months has mirrored that. And it's just not good enough. We know Bruce isn't good enough. We know there's just massive issues with his methods, his coaching methods, his tactical methods, just everything. And, yes, individual players could have possibly done certain things better in the game, but ultimately it comes down to the manager's vision and the manager's, job to make sure that they're well drilled and trained well, and they know how to work together. And what struck me, someone, I can't remember who it was, I would credit them if I could remember, but they put on Twitter that Rafa had basically the same defenders as Bruce has got, and over the years, over the months since Bruce has come in, that has just got worse and worse and worse, our defence. So it's not that those players can't do a decent defensive job. They can, but the problem is they don't train enough. We know that Rafa drilled them to within an inch of their life. We know that Rafa would have them practicing the same thing over and over again. Muscle memory, just constantly doing the same thing, practicing, keeping the line. I mean, look at Kane's goal, the second goal, right? Manquillo keeping Kane on side. That wouldn't have happened under Rafa. Those are the little details that make the difference between a good manager and a rubbish manager like Bruce. And yeah, like I said, we've got this defensive. We've got these defenders who, we know they're not the best defenders in the world, but that if you, with good coaching, you can get more out of a group of defenders than the sum of their parts. And Bruce has just never been able to do it. And over the years, the standards have dropped and dropped and dropped. And like, we hear things like they're only training like 3 days a week. It's just not good enough. It's just not good enough. And hopefully the new owners will be in absolutely no doubt whatsoever that Bruce needs to be going at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. They need to get his ass into the training ground or to St. James's Park, and they need to just be handing him his payoff and saying, goodbye, off you go, mate, because it's just absolutely unacceptable. Evening, by the way, everyone who's joined us now. Got quite a few people in, which is great. So obviously disappointed. I don't want to get too... I'm annoyed at Bruce, and like I say, I know that we can look at players' performances potentially as well at times, but my main frustration is with Bruce. And but in the bigger picture, I know we haven't won yet this season, but I still maintain that today's result, in a sense, it's not that important. But we have to change manager next week. We have to give ourselves a chance next week that we can do something better with someone different. Bruce has to go. He's got his 1000th game. Off you go. So evening, Peter. Pretty sure we can all agree on two things. This squad won't survive relegation under Bruce, and January can't. Yeah, absolutely. Both those things are true. Bruce would not keep this team up. It would be one season too many for him. We are sleepwalking into relegation under him, and we know that. And hopefully the new owners, thankfully, they have come in and they can change it. And I genuinely believe that just the change of coaches, the change of manager, more rigorous training methods, more team cohesion will be enough this season. And we've got a lot of games to play before January, so we have to start winning some of them. I mean, we play Palace next week. We've got to be targeting that game as a game to go and win, because otherwise we're going to end up being cut adrift at the bottom. And every game is important in the Premier League. We know how hard it is to get to 40 points or 42 points. So we've got to be able to start getting points now. But these players just have... I'd love to know what the players are thinking, really, but they've just got no belief in Steve Bruce. That was evident today. As soon as Tottenham got on top, it was the same pattern. We've seen it so many times. We've taken early leads in lots of games under Steve Bruce, and you're never that confident you're going to see it out or build on it. And we didn't today. We played well for 10 minutes, and it was brilliant, and the ground was rocking, and we got off to the dream start with Wilson's goal, which was fantastic. But then it all fell very, very flat. Very, very flat. Paul as well. Typical Brucey Dross. Yeah, exactly. That's just what I'm saying. Like the first 10 minutes were great. The rest of the 80 minutes were not great. And it was all Tottenham. And Tottenham thoroughly deserved the 3 points. You can't argue with that today. And yeah, it's just a shame. I think that the owners have missed a trick by not sacking him, because we can accept their decision that if they didn't have someone lined up, maybe they thought it would be better just to keep the guy who's already there, just give him that extra game until buy themselves some time, basically. But ultimately, we wouldn't have done any worse today had we had Jones in charge, for example, as a caretaker boss. I really believe that. We might have done better. I think we probably would have done better. And what was a real shame for me was the fact that the atmosphere did fall flat. You could tell the crowd after the initial first 15, 20 minutes, the crowd, basically once Tottenham scored, it was just right. We're back to normal here. This is what we've been used to forever for the last 2 years under Bruce, and we've seen it so many times before, and sure enough, like I say, I mean, it's amazing Spurs didn't score in the second half. To be honest with you, like they should have been further out of sight, and then, like I said, the score flattered us. No plan B from Steve Bruce. We know that he's absolutely terrible. I mean, the comments are all pretty unanimous here, aren't they? You know, Bruce out, Bruce out, Bruce out. Yeah, just not good. Let me see what else. Let me see who else is here, because there's quite a few comments. Let me skim down them. So, Bruce out. 9 games without a win. Yeah, and also, it's also I think we've now won 7 games out of the last 38, and I was trying to clarify whether those 38 games were the last 38 Premier League games or whether they were the last 38 games in all competitions. Either way, it's a terrible record. But if it's just Premier League games, that is a full season of Premier League games with 7 wins. That is a team who would get relegated if, you know, I mean, even if some of those other games are cup matches, it's still a team destined for relegation. We have to change. Rami, the fitness of the team was poor. And this is what I'm saying. And this has been the problem with Bruce. The problem with Bruce is that the standards have slipped massively since Rafa was there. And that's, you know, we get a lot of stick for loving Rafa, but the fact of the matter is Rafa had a plan. He stuck to the plan. The players were drilled with the plan. We tried to execute the plan. And sometimes, like, it went wrong, and sometimes it went right. But we never got hammered, and we were never embarrassed under Benitez. And I'm not saying, this is not me saying, "Oh, bring back Benitez." That's another argument, another debate. But what I am saying is, you know, Steve Bruce has had many of the same players as Rafa, and he's getting less out of them. In fact, he's got better attackers. He's got a better forward line than Rafa ever had, and he's getting less from the whole team. And it starts with the defence. 3 wins in 30. Yeah, I think it's slightly more than 3 wins, but it's not many, is it? It's not good enough. Not good enough at all. Bruce can't do it. No hard feelings, but we could very easily be relegated with him this season, or without a bit. Yeah, I mean, there's just no debate now. Bruce must go tomorrow. He has to go tomorrow to give us a chance against Palace, because actually, like I said, every single game counts, every single one, and Palace is a game that we need to be targeting. We need to get a first win of the season from somewhere, because the longer that goes on now as well, it's a monkey on the back. We have to get a win from somewhere, whether it's a scrappy 1-0 win away at Palace. It doesn't matter. We just have to get that win. Yes, and that's Pete. I didn't see your comment before I said all that a minute ago, but yes, exactly. Rafa built from a strong defensive foundation. Fitness levels were high because they trained often. I mean, like I say, Rafa had them trained within an inch of their lives. I'm sure the players would have hated the training, but did it work on the pitch? Yeah, it did. And Bruce with all his mates in the media, it's just absolutely bizarre. Liam, oh, nice to have you here, Liam. I think a decent manager can get a 17th at least. I agree. I'm still not that worried. I think, even look, Tottenham are still a good team, despite not having the best start to their own season, and they've got their own issues. We know that. But at the end of the day, they're still a decent team. Today would have been a hard game, no matter who the manager was. And, we wouldn't have been favourites to win it, even if we'd had a new manager, because of the situation we find ourselves in with the squad and our league position and all that kind of stuff. But do I believe that a new manager coming in with fresh ideas, who can raise standards in terms of training and fitness, can get this squad out of the relegation zone? Yeah, I do absolutely believe that, 100%. Because I think there's enough in that team. So, like, going forwards, Saint-Maximin, Wilson's excellent if we can keep him fit. We just need to keep Wilson fit until January, right? As a minimum. Obviously, I want him to be fit all season, but if we can just get a good run of games from Callum Wilson, Saint-Maximin, sorry, and who am I forgetting out of the forward line? I can't even think now. But like, we've got some good attacking players, haven't we? And I think that we can score goals going forwards. We've got Willock as well, haven't we? Of course. So we can do that. I think we've got enough going forward. We need to tighten up defensively. That's where we need to work on massively. And this whole Richie at left back doesn't work. You know, I don't know. Is Lewis any worse? Really? Would he be any worse? I don't know. I like Richie and everything, but he's not a left back. Mark, we can't get 2 down. Ashley's gone. Bruce will be gone. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the message I want to say tonight is, look, this was always going to be a tough game. I said before the game, even if we lose on Sunday, it's not the end of the world. I stand by that. I do believe that things will get better. Bruce will be gone. Clearly, today's done Bruce no favours whatsoever. I think he knows he's a dead man walking. The whole press conference thing was embarrassing from him. You could tell that he was like a kid, wasn't he, having a go at the journalists and kind of, your sources got it wrong and everything, but they didn't. I don't think the sources did get it wrong. We know he's on his way out, and better days are coming. I agree with you, Mark. Evening, Gordon, my dad. Evening. That was awful, and only one person to blame. Yeah, and I think that is the sentiment from pretty much everybody. I don't think they'll sack him. They're waiting for him to resign. No, I disagree with that. I think he'll be gone in the morning. I really, really do. Or maybe Tuesday. If it's like a day off. If it's a day off tomorrow, which presumably it will because we played on Sunday, I would be calling Bruce in and getting him sacked. That's what I would be doing. How completely unnecessary this all is. Ashley had Benitez in place and pushed him off to exactly. And it's it's such a stupid decision by Ashley, wasn't it? But Ashley never liked anyone who the fans liked. Ashley could never cope with us liking a manager. He's pretty vindictive, I think, and that decision just to not renew Benitez's contract it just summed him up, and then replace him with a yes man who's happy to be there because, well, he's just happy to be there, not because he deserves to be there. Just get him out. Absolutely. Just get him out. Just get him out. Joe Linton, too slow, loses too many balls. I would not play him. Yeah. I mean, look, we've talked about Joe Linton to death, but first half, I thought he did okay. But yeah, I agree, he's too slow. And he sometimes has the first touch of like his first touch will go like 3-4 yards in front of him. And then in the Premier League, you can't do that. You just can't do that. So yeah, but this is an issue. Players like Joe Linton, they're not going to be there for that much longer, really. They'll be there for maybe another year or two. I seem to have skipped down loads of comments here. Sorry, I've got absolutely loads. I've lost where I am. Sorry, there we go. Right. Liam says, I don't think Bruce will be here for the Palace game. No, I don't either. I think he'll be gone. Daniela is back. Hi, Daniela. Are you the West Ham fan? I think you might be. Newcastle needs to forget the riches in football and yeah, absolutely. That's priority number one. That's the only aim at this point. That is the only aim of the team and the club, to stay in the Premier League, because you can't build anything until you've stayed in the Premier League. And yeah, you're absolutely spot on there. I totally agree with that. And I think that will be the priority. And that's why I think they'll be sacking Steve Bruce Monday, Tuesday at the latest. Jones didn't want to be the manager. No, but on a temporary basis, just for 1 or 2 matches, he would do. I think that's the kind of, the steps in as a caretaker for a match or two. Hope too much on this game. I'm not sure what you mean by that. You were hoping for more, were you? I was trying not. I mean, I wasn't getting carried away, really. I predicted that we'd win, actually. I thought we'd ride that wave. And after 2 minutes, I thought, yes, we've got a chance here. We're going to go on and kick on and maybe get a second and be one of those afternoons. It just didn't turn out like that. But I'm not disappointed, really. I'm frustrated at Bruce because I do. This rests, in my opinion, on his doorstep almost entirely. Just not good enough. Mark, after the first 10 minutes, I full thought our 320 billion could sit in the bank getting interest. How wrong was I? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we started off like, sorry, I've just banned the thing there. We started off like a house on fire. It was fantastic, wasn't it? We looked actually really good. Tottenham were shell shocked for those first 10 minutes, and then obviously I think our players ran out of a bit of steam. The adrenaline had stopped kicking in, and reality set in. Tottenham found control and just played their way back into the game. But yeah, I think ultimately we know that checkbook needs to come out. Our team looked clueless on the ground, no tactics defensively and offensively. Yeah, and this is not a new thing, is it? This is every single match, and this is why I get annoyed with people in the media defending Bruce, because it's not even just about the fact that he doesn't win us many games. It's the fact that the football he plays is crap. He doesn't have tactics. He doesn't know his best team still. He doesn't know how to set them up. He doesn't know. We don't have like phases of play where you can see that they've trained and worked on like patterns of play and that sort of thing. There's just nothing like that. It's amateur hour. It's pathetic. And that comes from the manager, because he sets the vision and there is no vision. Is it fair to say I was disappointed with the crowd? I don't think you can blame the crowd. I think the crowd were fantastic before the kickoff and for the first 20 minutes of the match, but then reality set in, and Spurs were completely outplaying us, and it wasn't even close. Spurs could have been they were 3-1 up at halftime. They could have been like 4-1, 5-1 up at halftime. The fact that it finished 3-2 is like a mini miracle, really. Just not good enough. Liam reckons Frank Lampard could become the next manager. We've had a bit of a debate about Frank Lampard. I think it's quite an even split, really, about 50-50, I would say, about whether people think Frank Lampard's overrated and not worthy, or people who think he's kind of a young manager who's done some good stuff at Derby and Chelsea and could potentially be a good first manager to keep us up and then possibly build the first phase of this revolution that we hope is going to happen. Of course, time will tell whether it turns into a revolution. Maybe it won't. Sam Maximin should play on the left wing. Typically, yeah. I mean, there was one point where Willock was on the left wing, and that was just like, what is going on here? I don't know. But I mean, having said that, Sam Maximin proved today, though, whenever he gets the ball, he's such a good player. Like, I can't wait to see him with better players around him. He must get the ball sometimes and just think, why am I surrounded by players that are not good enough? Because imagine putting him in a team surrounded by like really good players. He is one that could still be here in 10 years, I'm sure, or 5 to 7 years or whatever. I'll take Frank Spencer over Bruce. Yeah, I think we take anyone. Yeah, even Frank Spencer. A free role. Yeah, that's the thing with Sam Maximin. I think you could give him a free role. He wears number 10. Why not let him play like that? And because he's so devastating. Essentially Tottenham were just reverted to fouling him an awful lot, and it was getting frustrated at the end, really. But anyway, don't think Rafa would return. Nah, exactly. He's not going to come back. He's not going to come back to us. He said that, and he'll honour his contract at Everton, and that's because he's a decent guy, and fair play to him. But we can be excited about who comes in next, because it's going to be better than Steve Bruce. That's for sure. Yeah, and the Willock thing is a bit of a mystery in a sense that he played so well at the end of last season. It saved us, really. His goals were what the difference between us finishing in the Premier League and not. But again, I think it comes down to your manager. I really do. I think he's not. Who's Bruce improved as a player since he's come to the club? I can't think of anyone. Possibly Arsenal laughing all the way to the bank. I still think there's a player in there, though, and I think that in this first, again, I keep talking about phases of a rebuild, but I think in the first phase of this rebuild, I think that players like Willock are going to be sort of key players that you want to keep around, and I think we know he's decent, so we just need to have someone who can get that back out of him. Ed, thank you very much, Ed. Yeah, I'm loving making regular content again. I feel like, I feel like because we've got our club back, I feel like I've got my passion back to talk about Newcastle, make content about Newcastle, and yeah, I'm just loving it. I'm loving making videos. I'm loving these live streams and just chatting to you all, and it's just this. And thank you very much. I've had loads of really lovely comments over the last week or so, and yeah, I've got lots of plans to make lots more videos. There'll be a new video out tomorrow as well, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, it's all good. Thank you. No defense, no midfield. Yeah, that was a massive. It was so blatantly obvious when you watched it on TV that literally there was one point in the game where Tottenham were attacking and there was like the defenders were back, and I was literally screaming. I was like, "Where's the midfield? Where are they?" And your midfield and your defense have got to work together. And it was just kind of there was just such big gaps everywhere on the pitch. Sorry, really needed a drink. Just such big gaps everywhere, and it was just not good enough. Kieran, who would you want to bring in as the new manager? It's such a hard question. I think there's actually quite a lot of managers who I'd be like, yeah, happy with them. I would take Lampard personally. I think he would do okay. I'm on that side of the fence with him. I wouldn't say he's necessarily my number one choice. I think it's not going to happen this, but I do think someone like Brendan Rodgers would be perfect for this stage of it, because I think he comes in and he can improve a team pretty easily, get them organised, work with what he's got. Lots of Premier League experience, and he's done good jobs at the clubs he's been at. We know that things sometimes go wrong under Brendan Rodgers in terms of Leicester missing the Champions League a couple of times, blowing the title with Liverpool, that sort of thing. But look, overall, he's a way better manager than what we have. So he would have been good. But I think the fact he's with Leicester, I can't see that happening. So I'd take him. Gerrard as well has been linked heavily. I'm less sure about Gerrard than Lampard, if I'm honest. But again, he could be hungry to come in and do it. I reckon they'll go for someone with a bit more experience, though, because I think ultimately we are in an absolute mess. And we need to, we need to make sure that we stay up. That is the only priority that we have. We have to stay in this league. Rami, the players showed the will to fight at the beginning. With more fitness and a tactical manager, we could do great. Yeah, I agree. I think that sums it up nicely. So I keep knocking my thing that I've perched my laptop on. I totally agree with that. I think fitness is a massive issue. Whoever comes in has to just get these players drilled. That it's so obvious when you play in the Premier League when your team is not fit as the other teams. And it gets worrying when you get to like 60, 70 minutes in a match and your players are basically run out of steam. And actually that happened sooner today because I think the players exerted so much energy in those first 10 to 20 minutes because of the crowd and the adrenaline. I think some of them were absolutely shattered. And what we should have done at that point is try and retain possession. But again, that is something we don't do under Steve Bruce. We don't retain possession. That's something we've lost. So, and Liam, that's a really good point as well. My brother texted me actually during the match towards the end, and he said, look, there's just no fight there, is there? Like the players were down. And I think this is why we have to get rid of Bruce, because it's the players we've got are okay. They're good enough to stay in the league, but if they're not playing for the manager, you've got massive problems, and you've seen that so many times in the past. I'm just going to scroll down a bit further. So, Jared and Lampard, no way. You see, yeah, I mean, this is it. People are very polarized on the Gerrard Lampard thing. But that's fair enough. Everyone's got their opinions. I personally think Lampard would do a decent job. I'm not as sure about Gerrard because I know he's done well at Rangers, but at least Lampard's done stuff in English football. But it's a fair point. I don't criticize anyone. I don't criticize anyone for not thinking Gerrard or Lampard would be like a brilliant choice. I think, like I said, I think the new owners will go for someone with more experience. But who that'll be, I don't know. I just hope that they find out this week, Concerned with Jerry's a League One standard league. Yeah, and that's kind of the issue, isn't it, with the Scottish League? It's like, I don't know. But then, if you're a good manager, you can be a good manager in any league, I suppose. But I do sort of share that opinion, Liam, if I'm honest. Ethan, Epic Ethan 316. Sorry, I'm just wondering if that's a Bible reference. John 3:16. Anyway, I agree not to be worried yet. Today we'll highlight to owners the urgency for action with Bruce. He'll be gone tomorrow. Yeah, totally agree. I think, no doubt, everyone's mad about Bruce. I think most of us can accept the defeat. Tottenham were the better team. Even if we'd had a different manager in the dugout today, we might have lost, and that's fine. I can cope with that. It's not going to be. It's going to be a hard season. You know, we're 8 games in now and we haven't won, and that is, you know, that's massively. In the Premier League. That's not a good place to be. So we've got to get a run of results before Christmas. We've got to, you know, just realistically thinking, you know, I don't know how many games we've got before Christmas. Probably before the New Year. Sorry, we've probably got what? How many games we got before New Year? I can't even work it out. About 8 or 9 or something. I mean, really, we need to be winning 3 of them at least and getting some draws. But who knows? Who knows? We will see what happens. I love this one. Bruce is like an old man driving a Ferrari 10 kilometers an hour on a 120-kilometer road. We need a good driver at least. Yeah, and it comes down to maximizing the potential of what you have. And like at the moment, okay, we don't have a Ferrari. We don't have a team that you could equate to a Ferrari. But I take your point. You know, we've got good players who could be a lot better than they are performing, and that comes down to the manager, like I keep saying. So, I mean, what do you lot think? Do you think who thinks that they will sack Bruce tomorrow or Tuesday at the latest? Who thinks that they will? Let me know in the comments. Or let me know if you think that they're going to keep hold of him for another week and they're going to wait until they've actually got someone to walk into the job. Let me know. It'd be really, really, really interesting to know what you all think to that. Yeah, point of no return, Tom. I agree with that completely because Premier League safety is a must. And yeah, I thought we'd win today. I just thought the occasion would mean that we'd go out and it almost like. I thought what happened in the first 10 minutes would just be replicated throughout the match and we'd kind of sweep to a victory, really. And like we got off to the dream start. Wilson's goal, by the way, was superb. That was just excellent. Great cross. Lovely ball by Saint-Maximin. Great cross. And the movement from Wilson just shows how important he is to us. And if we can keep Wilson fit until January, at least, like I say, where we can buy another striker, he could be absolutely crucial to us staying up and us being safe. But yeah, Tom, I agree. I think Bruce, he cannot come back from this one under the new owners. They must have seen how it fell apart today. They must have seen how it fell apart today, and simply not good enough. Simply not good enough. Trolls, yeah, we need an experienced manager to keep us up. I think I agree with that too. Especially, you know, we're starting to get into we're quite a long way into the season now. We haven't won 3 points, bottom 3. It's getting to the point where you don't want that gap between the bottom 3 and 4th bottom getting bigger. It's already 3 points, and 3 points to recover in the Premier League is not always easy. It's not always easy, is it? You know, you have to earn every win. Yeah, okay. So my mum called it when she said we scored too early. The goal by Wilson was a replica of the goal against Southampton or Leeds. I can't remember, to be honest. And then the wheels fell off. Yeah, and this is the pattern we see with Bruce repeatedly. Is we score if we score early in a game under Steve Bruce. I'd love to actually. I might even try and figure this out myself. But when I always get the impression if we score really early in a game under Bruce, and we've done that quite a lot of times, we don't often win that game. And it happened again today. Need to make it more hostile. Get the old fans back. The Ashley Breeder fan is too evident. I think that's harsh. I think, fans are fans. I think at the end of the day, you say the Ashley Breeder fans. The Ashley Breeder fans. If you're talking about the younger kids, the younger generation, what have they had to shout about? Of course the atmosphere has not been as good because, we've got a generation of fans, younger fans who've grown up with an absolute crap club. Thank God that they're still going. Thank God that they're still part of the club, want to go. And when things take off, they'll be there and they'll be making noise. So I think that's harsh. I think, the old fans would be equally good. I don't think we need to talk about divisions between old fans and new fans and younger fans or anything like that. Ashley Breeder fans. No one was a fan of Ashley. I think that's unfair, if I'm honest with you. Let me scroll back down. We've got to hope we beat Palace and Wolves and beat Leeds. Yeah, I mean, these are all teams that we need to be looking at getting, wins against. We need to be winning at least 2 of those games, I would say, and trying not to lose the other one. If we can get 7 points from 3 games like that, I think we'll feel a lot better about ourselves. Leeds are an interesting one. I've got a friend who I work with who's a Leeds fan, and he is getting a bit worried that he's saying they've got a lot of injuries, a very small squad. And basically, he's worried that they're going to. I mean, they are 4th bottom, and that could be a massive game. That could be a huge game soon. But we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens. Rami, as a Saudi, we never hesitate to kick a bad coach out. I'm sure Bruce will be out soon. I think part of the reason they didn't kick Bruce out is because I think it was because they were still just putting everything in place behind the scenes. I think they were getting. They've not fully announced all the positions, have they, of all the backroom staff and that sort of thing. And I think they had a lot to do. So I think for them it was probably a case of, let's just get through this first week, audit the club, see where we need to improve, give Bruce that one game, and then he'll be off. And I think he will be good. I think he'll be out tomorrow. I honestly can't see him staying beyond tomorrow. But Bill, I agree. They should have sacked him last Monday. I thought that at the time, but yeah, never mind. Still fuming at Bruce's post-game interview, saying the takeover only went through thanks to his efforts. Yeah, I saw him say that before the match. Like he was trying to claim credit for, if I've done my little bit to help it go through, then I'm delighted. I'm like, get lost, Bruce. This is not nothing to do with you. You're Ashley Stooge, and you shouldn't be here now. You shouldn't have even got the opportunity to experience the atmosphere today, I didn't hear his post-game interview because I jumped straight on here. But if he's repeated that again after the match, then this is Steve Bruce. Oh, it's not about me. It's not about me. And then he always makes it about him. The guy's just a moron. He just has to go. David, Newcastle will be in a relegation fight all season. You need a new manager now. Who is available? Yeah. I'm presuming you're not. I can't see what your picture is. I presume you're not a Newcastle supporter, David. Who do you support? Are you a Spurs fan, maybe? We are going to be in a relegation fight all season because we are in that position now. We've not got enough points, and it's gonna be a long season. But we have hope that with a new manager, some new signings in January, hopefully, that we can climb out of it. But yeah, it's going to be. This is this season. This is it. This is all we have to do this season is fight relegation and survive. That's it. And I can't argue with anything you've said. We have to get a new manager. Bruce has to go. Who's available? I'd love to know actually who would everyone. I know some people have written it. Who would you like as the new manager, the next manager? Let's see who everyone wants. Because obviously I've talked about a few potential candidates, but there's a bit of a debate about them there. So I don't know. Let's have a look. Sorry. Aaron, nice that you've joined me, Aaron. Thank you. I think a new manager organises the defence and gives us a few more ideas in the final third. Yeah. I mean, Aaron, if you've just jumped on, I've kind of said some of this stuff, actually, but it's worth repeating because this is the problem we have with Bruce, right? Fitness, massively, massively problematic. We know since Rafa was here. Just remember under Rafa, right? We very rarely had injuries. Injuries have always been something that's plagued Newcastle over the years, right? We've always had picked up a lot of injuries throughout sort of pretty much all the time I've supported it. When Rafa came in, he had the squad so fit that injuries were really not that players never got injured, but like, just they were rarer. They were much rarer, and that's because Benitez trained them to, rigorously train them. They were fit. They were organised. And you talk about organising the defence. I said earlier in the stream. I know I've got lots more people joined now. I said earlier in the stream. The fact is, Rafa Benitez had the same group of players as in defence, and the difference between what Rafa did with them and what Bruce is doing with them is just embarrassing on behalf of Steve Bruce. It's just shocking, and this is all because we know Bruce doesn't train them enough. I think they train 3 times a week. If you ever look at Warren Barton on Twitter, he's always saying, "Why are they not training more? Why?" He said, "Like, I've never known a Premier League team train so little. These are meant to be like at the top of the game. They're playing elite level sport. Just, you need to be fit to do that. Like, really fit, But yeah, I think in the final third, Aaron, I think it would be nice to have more ideas for sure. But I think that those players we do have up front and forwards, I think are okay. I think that's I think we've got enough there to score enough goals to keep us safe for sure. So, all right, lots of people saying who they've got. So Liam says Emery, bigger club than Villarreal. They have the Spanish Wigan in terms of the size. Yeah, interestingly enough, I mean, some of you know this, but I'm based in Scarborough, and Villarreal, when they won the European trophy, the Europa League, I read an article about them. Basically, that Villarreal's about the same size as Scarborough. I was like, in terms of population, which like blew my mind. Like, it's just crazy that they're competing at the level that they are. But Emery's got a great track record. Yeah, things didn't go well at Arsenal, but I think there's good reasons for that, and that is because Arsenal are in the state they're in, and clearly, Arteta's having troubles as well. So he would be a pretty good shout. So yeah, not a bad shout. Martinez and Henry, like as a pair, like an assistant. Is that what you mean, Martinez and Henry together? Is Henry one of Martinez's coaches for Belgium? Is that? I don't know. Anyway, Martinez, interesting shout as well. I don't rate Martinez that much personally. I wouldn't particularly want him. I mentioned in my video last week about Martinez actually, and he always gets stick for his defensive abilities with his teams. But I've not actually looked into the stats of that. I know that's the narrative around him, but do the stats back that up, that his teams concede too many goals? That would be my concern with him, especially at the moment. We've got a team that already concedes too many goals, and we need someone who comes in who knows how to tighten that up. Favre is, one of the favourites, isn't he? He certainly was the favourite last week. When you say Ralph, do you mean the Southampton manager? Both of those interesting shouts. I don't really know that much about Favre other than what I've read in the last week or two. Like I say, I always say this on my streams, but I don't really follow European football. I don't have time to follow it in depth. So I can only go off what I read from other people and my own research when I start looking into people. The defense can be a lot better than they are now. Only Rafa could whip them into shape that fast. Yeah, but we're not going to get Rafa, and that's unfortunately. But Rafa would, if Rafa was still the manager, we'd be in such a good position right now with the takeover happening. It's just such a shame that. It's just such a shame that what's happened, and Ashley got rid of Rafa. It's criminal, really. Simeone, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure he would come to Newcastle at the moment, but he's certainly got a very good record. Bruce had injury problems at clubs with better training facilities. Well, yeah, the reason is because he doesn't train very well. He fails in that respect. Sean, yeah, Conte would be nice, undoubtedly, but he's not going to come to Newcastle at this stage for sure. He's just not. And Andre Villas-Boas would be my choice with Rangnick as director of football. That's really interesting about Villas-Boas. I've not read anything about him really recently, but I do remember maybe about a year ago looking at where he was. He's in Russia, isn't he? Is he like Moscow or something? Or St. Petersburg? I can't remember. And he's sort of still doing all right, isn't he? He's still got pretty good record. But you just start hearing because obviously his time in the Premier League was pretty short lived. But he was meant to be like the next Mourinho at the time, wasn't he? And I don't know, it's just interesting. But yeah, Ragnick or whatever he's got, I still can't pronounce his name. I need to hear it more often so it sticks in my brain. He certainly seems like he knows how to build a football club with a good vision, and I think that could be very. I think that is what we're going to get. We're going to get some sort of director of football who comes in with a manager with some sort of vision. But ultimately, this season, we have to get a good manager in place. John says, as a Celtic fan, take Gerrard. I guess that's a compliment, isn't it, from a Celtic fan saying take Gerrard? Is that because he's doing a good job at Rangers and he's sort of pushed Celtic off their perch at the moment? I guess that's a compliment, I would imagine. Let's look at the positive side of this match. The owners saw how poor the players' fitness is, and hopefully they will prioritise the equipment and the fitness staff. 100%. So the new owners will have seen a lot of stuff during today's performance. There'll be things they're not happy with, and they will absolutely be already planning to do that sort of thing. Another shout for Conte there. Right, yeah. So Henry and Martinez are repair. I hadn't realised that Henry was assistant to Martinez. So, Jan, you're in Belgium, I believe, aren't you? I think you said that the other night. So, Andrew, somebody call the police again. Joe Linton impersonating a footballer. Yeah, look, I think to be fair to Joe Linton, I thought he started the game okay, but yeah, we've talked earlier in the stream just about his first touch not being amazing, and at this stage, look, he's been here for a couple of years now. He's not going to suddenly improve into a player that is any good. I think for him, January or the end of the season, the club just needs to cut the losses with him and let him go on his way. And hopefully, for his sake, he can sort of find a club where he can find some sort of decent form and not be in the spotlight as much as he is in the Premier League for Newcastle. Lascelles a liability, yeah, but that again, this goes back to the defensive unit. In my opinion, I think the defensive unit is a problem because Bruce doesn't coach them well enough, and we concede too many goals as a result. And it's, Lascelles was at the heart of Benitez's defence and always did all right. So we know he's not the best defender in the world or in the league, but he's good enough. But I just think a lot of stuff can be pinned on Bruce. I really believe that. I don't think it's me just being attacking Bruce for no reason. I think this is genuine. I believe genuine reasons and frustrations. Why Arteta is struggling at us. I wasn't saying Arteta. I said that Arteta, in relation to Unai Emery, who got sacked from Arsenal because he wasn't doing well, but then Arteta went in and is still struggling. That was my point that I was making. I wasn't saying that we should get Arteta. Where do you think we'll finish this season? Good question. I think we'll be all right. I think we'll probably finish 13th or something like that, 14th. I do think we'll be safe. And I think that we will probably get to... I think if we can get to Christmas just sort of in and around the bottom three, but not out of touch of it, we'll kick on from that in January. So I think we'll be all right. I'm still not worried about this season yet. If we get to January and we're cut off and adrift, I'll be worried. But at the moment, we'll see. My thing keeps skipping around. Active Aaron, don't know much about Favre either, but I did a bit of Google on him. I think he will be a good fit right now. From what I gather, organised defence and also counter press. Interesting. So yeah, and actually having someone who can organise the defence is going to be key to us staying up. Because like I say, I think we've got enough attacking flair if we can keep Wilson and Saint-Maximin fit to get through games. Against the teams that aren't the top 4 or 5 teams in the league, we can still pick up results against the likes of Norwich and Burnley and that sort of thing, with what we've got. Wayne, another one not happy. Utter rubbish. How can the players not get up for that atmosphere? Bruce needs to go now. I think they did get up for the atmosphere for the first 20 minutes. I thought they played really well. First 10 minutes especially, we played really well. But then Tottenham, I think what happened, this is my view, I think that the players were running on adrenaline in that first 10 minutes in particular. They got the lead. It was a dream start. Everyone was up here. The crowd was up here. The players were up here. And I think the players, if you looked after 15 minutes, 20 minutes, some of them were knackered. Some of them were absolutely shattered at that point. Part of that's fitness issues that we know we get. But after 15 minutes, we don't normally see it that early in the game. So I think they just tired, and that allowed Tottenham to get the ball more, and they just took control, and they just dominated possession from that point on, and we couldn't get a grip on the game. But yes, it was rubbish. I'm not saying that it wasn't rubbish. I'm saying it was, but I don't think you could blame the players for not being up for it. Certainly at the start of the game, I'd have liked to have seen more in the second half, though, coming out in the second half with a bit more spirit and fight. But this is what we get under Steve Bruce, isn't it? This is what we've had for the last 18 months and more under Steve Bruce. So 2 years. And it's just, we just have to get used to it. How long has he been in that for? 3 years or something? I don't even know how long he's been here. Too long. Far too long. He shouldn't be here. Ralph Rangnick, the perfect football philosophy. So there's another shout for that. So, yeah, I think from what I can tell, he seems to be the favourite for the director of football role. Andrew, when you're 2 goals down, you don't take off the... Yes. I mean, what... Yeah, the substitutions as well. Like, we haven't talked about that yet. I totally agree, Andrew. It's just absolutely bizarre decision-making. Yeah, obviously Wilson was never going to last the full 90 minutes. He's just come back from an injury. Fair enough. Don't have a problem with him substituting Wilson. What I do have a problem is with, taking your only striker off and not replacing him, putting a winger on. Like, yeah, well done. We've got Fraser on the pitch, but we don't have a striker. It's just stupid. And this is the kind of crap we have to put up with Steve Bruce. It's just mad. If Ralph Rangnick was managing today, Newcastle would be winning. I'm going to learn how to pronounce his name by the next time I do a video or a stream, by the way. I need to listen to it more times. Yeah, maybe. I mean, like I say, it seems to me like he's heading for the director of football role, but his philosophy must be to have that role. You've got to know what you're on about. I'm from the last 45 in the UK, but you're from Belgium. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Let's not forget, with the Norwich Brighton game, we have the worst defensive record in the league. Scoring wise, we aren't doing too bad. But I think this is what we've been saying for all season. But I've certainly been saying it a lot in this live stream. That it's all about this defense. The level of the defense has just declined, just season after season under Bruce, and it's just got. If he doesn't go, or if the new owners hadn't come in, then we would 100% be getting relegated this season, because there'd be no way we could get out of it. Would you take Graham Potter? He's overachieving at Brighton. Interesting shout, Graham Potter. I think he's exciting. I think what he's doing at Brighton is a very good job. I think I'd issue a slight note of caution, because we've seen coaches like him have good seasons in the past. Now, I know last season Brighton played some good stuff, but their record wasn't great. They didn't score enough. Sorry. They didn't score enough goals. And basically, this season he's figured that out, and Brighton are doing well. Fair enough. I still don't think that we've got enough. There's not a very big sample size for Graham Potter to know whether he'd be a good fit or whether he'd be a mistake in 2 years' time. I think he's doing well, don't get me wrong, and Brighton fans rightfully happy with him. But I don't know. Like, is he just overachieving? Or, is it all going to come crashing down a bit again next season? Sorry, I'm just going to mute while I cough. Hang on. Sorry about that. So I think time will tell with him. I think it'll be too soon for him to to be jumping in with confidence to get him at Newcastle. It's a huge problem. There's no standout managers available at present. Yeah, I mean, I think there are. I actually think there are some. I mean, we might end up having to pay someone compensation, and that's always tricky mid-season. But I think there's enough good managers in the frame that we can get someone who can certainly get us out of this mess that we're in this season, and that's all that matters at this moment. Yes, Mark. Nice to see War Flags back. I can't remember what the quote was off the top of my head now, but the banners that went across the Gallagher with the quote about rebuilding, fantastic. Like, I'll admit I was tearful when I saw the start of the game and the atmosphere and all the flags and stuff. It was emotional, that actually, and I wish I could have been there. I should have been there, but obviously I'm not. But yeah, having War Flags back, fantastic. They're great. They do a great job, and ultimately they're funded by fans. So if you want to contribute to War Flags, I'm not affiliated to them in any way, by the way. Then look them up on Twitter, go and support them because they're great. And yeah, it's really good to see that the atmosphere at the start of the match was just something to savour, and anyone that was there is just fantastic. Ian's saying Eddie Howe. That's going to split opinions. I can tell you that for now. Some people really don't rate Eddie Howe. Oh, he got Bournemouth relegated. Yeah, but he also got Bournemouth promoted like 4 times in a row and kept them in the Premier League for about 5 years. So he's not all bad. So who knows? I don't think the problem with someone like Eddie Howe is I think he could probably come in and keep us up. But is Eddie Howe the person you want then to kick on for the next 2 or 3, 4 years? I'm not sure that the owners would have their eye on him. This is the $1 million question. Who's going to take over the sinking ship? Someone will. We just need to throw enough money at it and we'll get someone decent. Gus Hiddink. I've heard a few people mention Gus Hiddink, Paul. Loads of experience, yeah. I think they're going to go for someone with experience who could keep, know the Premier League a bit and keep us up. So maybe Hiddink wouldn't be a bad choice. I don't know what he's been up to in recent years. Like I said, I'm not been following his career closely or anything like that. So, but there'd be worse options for sure. When will the Sports Direct banners come down? I don't know the answer to that, but what I do know is that they're there on a short-term basis now. I think it was George Colkin who mentioned that it's part of the deal of the takeover was that they have to remain in place on a short-term basis, but no one knows what short-term basis is. Is that till Christmas? Is that till the end of the season, or is it 2 years? What's short-term? I don't know. So I think we're going to be stuck with them for a while longer yet. But again, that's going to be quite a big moment when that happens, isn't it? When those Sports Direct banners come down, that's going to be a huge moment for the club, ridding the stadium of those awful signs. They're just horrendous. There was a picture, wasn't there, of Staveley and her husband stood out during the week. They had an official photograph of them taken in front of the East Stand with the Newcastle United, and it took them a while to take that photo apparently because they were trying to crop out the Sports Direct signs to get the perfect shot of them just underneath the Newcastle United bit. So I'm sure they want rid of it as soon as possible as well. So I'm sure the day that contract expires, they'll be coming down. But who knows when? Who knows when that is? I don't know. I'm actually all right with my illness. I think my coughing was just because I've been talking for too long without taking a drink. I'm fine. I've tested positive for COVID on Thursday, but I am absolutely fine. Thank you. So I'm not actually poorly. I don't feel poorly anyway. But I do have COVID apparently. Sean Dyche would be a good short-term solution. Yeah, possibly. He's not going to inspire everyone, is he? I don't think. But I can see your point. I think he knows how to organise a Premier League team and keep them up. So yeah, maybe the players are not good enough. Some of them aren't. I think we have enough in the squad to keep us up. I do believe that. I think we've got enough in the squad to keep us up. So we'll see, though. We will see. Random thought: caretaker Harry Redknapp and Hoddle like they do at QPR. I can't take that as a suggestion, Aaron. To be honest, I mean, yeah, no, not for me personally. I mean, I've never really liked Harry Redknapp anyway, and he's been out of the game for a while now as well, hasn't he? As you know. Yeah, another shout for Gus Hiddink. Think could be good. Darlington, you're a Darlington fan watching. Oh, okay. Nice to have you along. Thank you for joining me. No short-term solution, please. Must be someone who will build. Yeah, I think that's what they're going to go for. They're going to go for someone who not only can keep us up, but they'll want the man who they appoint to be the person who takes the club forward in the next, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, whatever. So we'll see. Oh, right. I can't believe an hour's passed already. So I'm going to wrap it up in a minute. So thank you so much for everyone who's joined. I'll just give a quick mention to, you can see the ticker thing along the bottom. I've started a free weekly email newsletter. There's a link in the description below to this video. It'd be amazing if some of you signed up for that. It's completely free. It's just me writing a bit about Newcastle each week, bit of trivia, a bit of statistics, facts, things like that, and a bit of information about the week that's just passed, and a bit of a preview as well. Might even occasionally throw the odd prize thing in there as well. So go and check that out. The first one that I wrote is up, so you can go and read that for free now. Even if you don't subscribe, you can still read it. So thank you very much. Like I said, I'm going to have lots of content this week as well, so keep an eye out for that on my channel. There'll be a video out tomorrow where I'll be looking back at today's game. And yeah, once I've had a bit more time to process it and that sort of thing. So, but thanks very much for everyone who's joined. And yeah, have a good evening. Enjoy what's left of the weekend, the last few hours. And yeah, let's hope that Steve Bruce is gone tomorrow. Fingers crossed. All right. See you later. Take care, everyone.